And this is astounding. Our public safety minister, who, as I said, stayed on the back benches for 20 years. Actually, I was reminded this morning he was briefly in the front benches when the Liberals were in opposition. He was the opposition House leader, or the Liberal House leader. I can't remember if they were even at official opposition at that time. But Public Safety Minister Dave McGuinty says there is no plan to send Canadian soldiers to the Canadian-US border. What did I tell you the other day? They have no plan to do this. And why? Because they don't like the optics of uniforms at the border. In a bid to head off crippling tariffs threatened by U.S. President Donald Trump, Canada has committed to tasking 10,000 frontline personnel with protecting the border. Speaking with the Canadian press today, McGuinty says that number could encompass a broad range of officials, including border officers or the front lines and intelligence officers behind the scenes. What does that mean exactly? McGuinty also says Canada's promised contribution of $200 million to fight organized crime and fentanyl trafficking is in addition to the $1.3 billion Ottawa has already announced. Yeah. Now that, of course, as I've said, is farcical because it's $1.3 billion over 6 years. The money will help fund the appointment of a fentanyl czar. What we're going to be paying this guy $200 million a year, who will serve as a liaison between Canada and the U.S. on cross-border efforts to curb fentanyl traffic. Whenever you see somebody serving as a liaison and not actually tasked with doing anything, this is classic government bureaucratic cop-out. This means this person will be doing nothing but sitting on his or her ass as long as the Trudeau government or the Liberal government or the Carney government is in power and says, do nothing except liaise with the United States. In other words, everything's great here. Anything to report? No, sir. Everything is fine. Everything is fine. And that's what this fentanyl czar will be all about. Now let's listen to David McGuinty tell you that there's not going to be 10,000 frontline personnel at the border. There certainly won't be Canadian Forces troops. And I've outlined this already. If it's not Canadian Forces troops, I'm sorry, I have to move this. If it's not Canadian Forces troops, it's not going to be the RCMP. It's not going to be a CBSA. What they're actually talking about is some ad hoc coalition of a bunch of different organizations trying to fulfill this mandate, this pledge for $10,000. So this week it might be the OPP and the Sûreté du Québec and the CBSA sending people to the border. And maybe it's 10,000, maybe it's not, because we won't have time to count. Because next week it's going to be a different scenario. I can already see this happening. I know exactly what they're going to do. This is a classic bureaucratic response. It's going to be completely ad hoc. These will not be dedicated forces. They can be withdrawn at any time, any day. Oops, we got to take 10. We have to take 1,000 people back from the border today because they're required over here. It's not dedicated. This is a lie. This is prevarication. This is mendacity from this Liberal government, from Justin Trudeau to Donald Trump's face.
Undefended border in the world, which we pride ourselves in having. 400,000 people a day cross the border back and forth. Billions of dollars of trade back and forth. Jobs at stake. I don't understand why somebody can sort of willy-nilly throw out a suggestion that the entire Canadian border should be militarized. I don't think that's predicated on fact or evidence. We have incredibly strong teams, a strong border which is getting stronger. The RCMP, the CBSA, conservation officers, Indigenous police, provincial police forces, municipal police forces are cooperating.
There it is. There it is. That's the ad hoc coalition of so-called frontline personnel. It will be different every week. So that's not dedicated. That's not what we promised.
Important moment because we have jobs at stake. And so I think Mr. Poilievre has some explaining to do.
No, you have some, no, excuse me.
I think
You have some explaining to do because your government is lying.
The Prime Minister lied and his minions continue to lie about
Lying. What you're proposing here is inadequate.
listen carefully to everything coming from the White House and act accordingly. But what we're really focused on right now, public safety. I'm here today with the President of the CBSA, the Deputy Commissioner of the RCMP, and my Parliamentary Secretary, Jennifer O'Connell. We're here to operationalize a border plan. We're putting into place measures which will strengthen the border, make it stronger than it already is. We're making huge progress, and there's more to be done.
They're making no progress. There's no more to be done. When you have a sidekick like Jennifer O'Connell, how can you even take this man seriously? This is an absolute brazen attempt to bypass everything that was promised. Even the fentanyls are. The definition falls far short of what is required for Canada to be taken seriously in any of this. It falls far short of the requirement.